Hey, welcome back to Inspiration Education. I think this is episode 11.
Episode 11. We're making it. We're able to do this every single week. I'm so proud of us.
And I'm really excited because today we're actually showing something in the classroom. We're finished with the content from the summer trip. And so here we go, starting in the actual classroom.
So we're taking you back to the very first day of my class this semester. You'll see it's a really incredible aha moment that I had for myself in planning out my very first day of class related to formative assessments and grading.
Yes, formative assessments leading into one summative assessment. Watch this footage. And then we'll put a link to where we got this information from, and then we'll be back and we'll explain to you
a paradigm. I'm going to be think of a paradigm. What sort of paradigm can you get out of what you're watching next?
Good morning.
Good morning. First day of school. First day, best lesson. Trying to do something new today. So I've given my students the task of building a freestanding structure with only 20 pieces of spaghetti, 1 meter string, 1 meter of tape, and a marshmallow.
Yeah.
And there's some amazing, amazing lessons that are coming out of it.
What is the purpose?
Oh, what is the purpose? Yeah. Well, the obvious one is teamwork. But the really cool thing that they're going to get out of it is what I believe about grading and what I think about formative assessments.
I'm sorry, wait a minute. They're learning about grading and formative assessments from Marshmallows and spaghetti?
Correct. I'll tell you more about it later.
Okay, let's go check it
out.
Have fun. So what's the goal here, girls? What are we supposed to be doing?
We are the tallest tower ever made out of spaghetti.
And that's what you're supposed to be doing. The tallest tower ever made out of spaghetti. What about the marshmallows, though?
It has to be on top.
Oh, you only get one marshmallow.
Yeah, and you can't break it.
How are we doing over here? Yeah, okay. What's this going to be? Is that your foundation?
We don't know.
You cannot add anything to it. Oh, what? Freestanding structure.
I give up.
No giving up. You can do this. You can do this.
The only problem here is that this bends like that. So, I mean, I guess we're gonna have to tape it from the bottom, like all the way to the bottom.
What we're gonna do is like lean them in so that they're staying there.
Ooh, so kind of like teepee structure? Okay.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Oh, look at the progress over here.
Wait, what if we lean something against it to make it work?
Or you could try to add more sticks of bottom to like hold it up. I don't know.
You just may not use things like this.
Okay, somebody needs to tie it. Because I can't. I don't know. Here, I'll hold this together. Okay. I'll try. And then tie it. Just like a tie. What if we like made another box?
Oh, what if we taped the noodles to the noodles? Like this,
Yeah.
like one on each one.
Okay, so welcome back. Might have been a little hard to understand why in the world we brought marshmallows into the first day of school.
Well, as you can guess, I'm big time into collaboration and problem-based learning and cooperative learning and in a relational classroom. So I thought, hey, on the first day, why don't I do something that will begin to get them in that mindset. And by the way, it also helped me to see what the dynamics were. Right away, I got intel on kids that I don't know very well at all. So it was really, really revealing in that regard. This is what formative assessments are. And helping also to communicate to the kids, guess what? This is how this class is going to work. We're gonna fail, and then we're going to then think through how we can improve, and then give them another chance.
All the spaghetti is gonna fall, you know, and those are your formative assessments. It's like, okay, I'm getting feedback from the teacher on why my spaghetti fell. But in this case, of course, they're getting feedback from their peers and they're working together. And this is how we failed. And that is your formative assessment in this particular case. And then you pick them right back up and you try it again.
So, of course, that can happen within classroom time frame where you're doing little checks for understanding and boom, 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 boom. They're building up. And by the end of the period, yeah, it's awesome. or it can be far longer than that.
Huge.
I have a quarter-long project where the whole thing is going out in the field, collecting data, analyzing data. It's all this one
For biology.
Yeah, for my field ecology course. And so they're writing one collaborative paper, and I'm on there all the time, giving them feedback. And then when they're done, it's like
You've had eyes on it the whole time.
eyes on it the whole time. The grading is done. It's done because it's been this one long R&D piece the entire time. And then on top of it, then they have to orally defend what they wrote. They're ready because
they've been talking the whole time.
Exactly.
And so another example for me in my classroom for history. Okay, so maybe your administration says you have to give your students some sort of semester project, some sort of semester final at the end of the semester, or maybe at the end of the quarter. For us, we do it every semester. So for me, rather than having my kids come in and they have to take some written test and that kind of thing, no, we work on one project all semester long. They build on it. I have checkpoints.
We give classroom time for it.
They have classroom time. In fact, that's what they're doing right now behind this wall right now in the library. It's independent work, and there's multiple checkpoints built in all semester long so that I can give them feedback so that they can make those changes on their paper, and then by the time the final is ready to be turned in, if they've made all those adjustments, it's done, and it's a grade. And I've been looking at it the whole time, and it's...
Because it's a small side note to remember that grades are for communication.
Yes.
They're communicating, do they know the learning or not? They're not to compensate. And when we compensate, we get into trouble. Let me explain a small reason why I have an idea about that. High stakes. So, one of the ways in which I was inspired was a TED Talk about the Marshmallow Challenge. So the TED Talk's called "Build a Tower, Build a Team."
Yeah.
And in that, the speaker talks about this. He said, "I'll give you $10,000 for the tower that's the tallest."
Could have been that big.
Yeah, it could have been an inch off the table, okay? So after the 18 minutes, zero towers. All of them. All they had to do was take, 4 little pieces of spaghetti and put a little marshmallow on it. Zero. So it made me wonder, how much are we doing that to our own students? And that's inhibiting their ability to learn.
For example, give a vocabulary test. They have a week to study. There's no chance to redo it. It's like, it's so high stress, so high anxiety, and what are they really getting out of that?
It inhibits the learning. Our desire that you get out of this is that you can begin to wrestle with, what do assessments mean, both formative and summative? And then how do you reconcile that with grades? And I'm pretty sure we're going to examine that in another episode.
Yeah. Well, we did put in here in the video clip a link for you to the TED Talks that we referenced. But there's one thing I kind of want to drive home to besides the high stakes testing is that he mentioned that the business school students often don't do well, and yet kindergartners do. And I think we really need to remember that. Our kids come into our schools, they started preschool, and they build their way up, and they're enjoying, when they're in preschool,
we're allowing them to be creative and to do discovery, and then all of a sudden we breed the desire for learning out of them.
The creativity is gone, and that, I think, is an example in the business school model versus the kindergartners. And just emphasize creativity. You saw collaboration in here, and active participation even. So
come to Scuba Club for free EGs in the biology.
Want to come to Scuba Club?
See this first 30 minutes of office hours.
So think about how Marshmallows can inspire you to do formative assessments. But basically just work on giving your students formative assessments so that that summative at the end is not so high stakes, because you've given them feedback all throughout the way.
Absolutely.
So
go for it.
Okay, and go forth and conquer, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.